am Juanita Holder, daughter of Lancelot Lionel Holder, one of Richard Nathaniel Holder, 3 daughters. I grew up in Crozierville. My grandfather name was Richard Nathaniel Holder, and his wife was, everybody called her Ma Jerusha. Her name was Jerusha Lockett Holder. And his parents were Isaac Nathaniel Holder from Barbados, and his wife was Nancy Halawonga Holder. She was from South Carolina, but they met in Liberia. And that's how we are related to the Goodriches, because Sarah Halawonga was their grandmother. And growing up in Crozierville, I don't think I could have picked a better place. We went to church and went to school. And especially this time of the year, getting ready for Easter, oh my God, it was a major production in Crozierville to perform in Reeves Memorial United Methodist Church. But we also had something that we did. It just came to my mind today. The eve of Good Friday Eve, we made a man called Judas who betrayed Christ. We found old pants, shirt, hat, stuff it, dress him up, and sat him in a chair across the street from our house. And we will attend Good Friday service. It is known that Jesus died at 3 o'clock. So we will wear like morning clothes and we attend church. And after service, we couldn't wait to get home. I don't think we will eat first. We started tearing Judas apart for what he did to Christ. Not only Easter, but every Sunday. We get up in the morning. Before we ate breakfast, we'll go in the living room and everybody should say a Bible verse. And Ma will pray. I said Ma because that's my grandmother. I remember staying with her from the age of 2 because I remember stories from the crib. I have a good memory until now. So we will pray, then we'll go and have breakfast. And when we hear a car coming, which will be public, Jonathan Goodrich will run to the front and then he will tell us, his car was always loaded. He will tell us, I'm going and coming back to pick you all up. We'll say, okay, we'll tell Ma. And he will go to church, drop off his group, Cousin Comfort, Gladys, everybody you can think about that was living with him. Sometimes he will have like 2 or 3 cars and they will come back and pick Ma up and we will go along with her. My grandmother, the late Jerusha James Etta Holder. And they would take us to church. By this time, around Easter time, we would have been practicing to perform in the church. The Honorable Jimmy Wicks Sr. used to pick us up, bring us to the church, me and my sister, Ella Lou, to practice. And my grandmother used to have Gertrude, teaching Gertrude about Jesus and showing her what to say. But everybody had the things done. So Easter after church, I think they will go run one into the other, and we will get up there and perform. And our favorite song was, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Kaitro's song was, "He causes me to tremble." Were you there when everything was related to Easter? And during the week, we would attend school, the downstairs of Albert Port, the late Albert Port House. That's where they used to have classes. Until later on, they moved to E. Jonathan Goodrich House. And after that, the same Honorable Jimmy Wicks will come to my grandmother to broker the deal for her to give them some property for them to build a school. And they did. And she said she gave the Crozierville school the land under one condition, that when she dies, she should be buried there, along with her parents, James and Emma Lockett. So they did that. The grave is still there, although it needs fixing, which I will do. Kenneth Best called and wanted to do it, but I felt that it's my grandmother, and I was very dear to my grandmother. So I want to do it myself. And you know about the changes in Liberia and up and down. So I promise, God willing, I will do it this year. And like I started, we attended school at the late Albert Port House downstairs. And that's where I met my best friend, Zenobia Clark. I've been trying to reach her, and Zenobia and I became very good friends. In the evening, after school, I would go with her to her mother's house. And that's where I learned to braid straw to make the hat. And the only hat I learned there was the bota. I think everyone knows what a bota is. And that's where I started to make hats and handbags. But then somewhere down the line, I forgot. In fact, even in America, in Liberia, if you're walking in the street and you don't even know the person, you will stop and say hello. Some people do it here, but you know how America is now. But we greeted everyone we saw. Next to our house was the late Sammy Holder, married to Catherine Uri Holder. She was next to us. And then next to her was Ella Tice Cooper. And then next was the Eastman house. But before that, on the left-hand side was Mr. Arthur Kipper and Miss Jo Kipper. I'm one of the granddaughters of Richard Nathaniel Holder. My grandfather was Secretary of Interior, and he ran for president 1944, I was told. I was at his funeral. But when you grow up in my grandmother's house, the late Juanita Holder, you have to go to Bensonville for revival. They used to call it the Mooner's Bench, because I remember us going there several times. We would walk from their house to Bensonville, and then we'll also walk to Carisburg. So I'm used to walking. There were many brothers. I've been trying to list them, and he had only 3 sisters.
Okay.
Aunt Sarah and Aunt Pink. Ella Holder Dixon Weeks, Agenna's grandmother. And among the men, Richard, among my grandfather's brothers was James Wesley Holder, Wesley Holder, Small Richard, Sammy Holder. I think that's all I remember, but there is a list. 3 brothers. James Holder was cousin Henrietta, Elmer's mother, father. Martha Holder Wesley, that was her father. Small Jimmy, that was his father. Tonia Holder's father. He had a lot of children. Alice's father, Uncle James, that was his father too. Then Sammy Holder was married 3 times. At that time, people were not mixing up so much. He married his first cousin, and she died. They had, I think, 5 children. She died, and the last child that took her life. Then he married, then he had somebody else. I should know her name, but he had cousin Ella, Ethel Holder, Longfell Holder, Jerusha Holder, Edwin Varfley's mother, and Clavener, and who's he's married to? Clavener now, that was his mother. They had some children. Then he married Aunt Kit, and I think they had about 7 children because Bob Bailey was triplet. He's the second child. The first was Fidel Queller Holder, who was married to Sis Pauline Faulkner. And then you have Bud Hoover, Emmett, Eileen Vinita Holder, who was married to the late Leroy Francis, and Donald Holder. Among all of them, only one is alive today. Emmett Holder died last year. Only Franklin Holder of Boston is alive. On my side, Richard Holder had 3 children by Jerusha Holder. He married Rebecca Ware, and they had about 6 children. Most of the children by his wife have died, except one, and that's Richard. He's home. And my father had 3 girls. My sister Myrtle, she died. The same year my uncle died, 1970. And Ella Lou Holder Jones of Staten Island. I reside right here in New York City. And we had a lot of, we grew up with all of our cousins. We had a lot of good times. If we're not in Crozierville, we're in Kakata or Bong Mines. My grandfather has 2 farms on Laketa Road. They call it now Bong Mines, but we were there before Bong Mines came. I remember us in the truck or pickup going to in the dust. You've never seen dust like that in your life. Oh God. And we used to be going on the farm. But when Agenna told me that when his time came and they used to go to the farm, they used to put the older people in hammock and the little children would walk. But by my time, they had, as they used to call it, motor car back home. And another thing I noticed years ago, if a person should die, they would have like 2 or 3 nights wake. I remember I must have been a little girl, maybe 3 or 4, when my grandfather died. And I just saw the crowd. I saw the president. Everybody came. And every day they would sweep the house. We were at my uncle's place. They would put the trash under the casket. But I don't think they do it this time. And when they're taking him out for the burial, they would sweep the dirt out and say, as you go, take all the troubles with you. That's what they used to do. And growing up in Crozierville was fun. We had something called watch night. I think they do it here too. We used to go to church and pray all night, sing all night. And you know, little children, they like to be out. So the next day, we go home. It was like, I think 4, when they brought Charlotte and Moses to our house. And the little rattan chair that they had for the children, I had one. Sitting on the side of the table while my grandfather was eating. And when they brought these 2 children, I was so happy to see kids. And I was shaking and banging the chair on the wall. And he said to me, if you don't stop that, I'm going to whip you. You know, the old people were not easy. And another time, 2 times I saw it. And another time, because he was living most of the time on a farm. And my grandmother was the one at the house. And another time, they brought him home, or he came home, and we used to ask for money, 1 cent. So we had nothing to do with it, but just to ask. And I went up to go ask him. Ma said, get from here. You see your grandpa sick. You ask him for money? I said, oh, I'm sorry. And then the other times I used to see him was on the farm. And not long after that, he died. So my grandmother was the one that spoke to me a lot. We used to talk a lot. She used to love Harry more than me, but when Harry died, then I became her new love. One time, we had a crazy woman in Crozierville called Pele. I don't know. Maybe it meant Pele is gone. Maybe it meant she was out of her mind or what. And Harry and I were at the window, and he was laughing. I didn't laugh. And he was laughing at this woman. That woman turned right around, came to the back of the house, and reported us to Grandma Jerusha. And Ma whipped us that day for laughing at the crazy woman I've ever known and that I will ever know in my life. I talk about my grandmother every day. Juanita Holder is to me like Condense was to you. Because you could never see Condense without a Cherry or Nick. They looked like they were her eyes. And Ma used to love me. Every time I went to Crozierville, when I left Crozierville to go and visit, there's a special window she would take me to. And she always would say, why? When I die, don't let my place go down like that. Oh. Every time I think about that house and who broke it down and what they did, I just feel so sad. But I leave everything with God. He will take care of matters for me. She always. Sometimes she's bending over the banister and I will go and put my arms around her. And I said, Ma, what's wrong? She said, why? Every heart got its own sorrow. You know? And she did have a lot. So, um, she had, men. She had husband trouble. You know, I don't know how he managed, but, she always told me that. And it's in the Bible. Every heart has its own bitterness. She was also the lay reader in the church. We used to sit um, from if you're in the pulpit on the left side on the second row, you will find my grandma there every Sunday. And we also had another lady in the church, Milton, Major Reeves, sister Clara Reeves, who was raising her two nieces, Naomi and Clara. They were in the church. We also joined church along with your cousins, Comfort and Nancy, the same Sunday. They just grabbed us, took us to the altar and said, "You're joining church today." When those days when your people tell you something is God and gospel, you do not argue back. I like to be a fly on the wall to see how these people will carry on with their children. Across the street from Davidtown Road until you get to Uncle James' house, the entire place was nothing but grapefruit and oranges, orange trees. And further back, that's where we used to make our farm. We plant corn, cassava, and a lot of food stuff. But growing up in Crozierville, I couldn't have grown up anywhere. It was the best. That was her sister-in-law. They got along fine. In the morning, Dudu would come if she have a dream that night. Joe, she used to call my grandmother Joe. And she would walk and come across the lawn to tell her the news or anything. But Mom was not much of a talker. She was very kind. Every day, people stopped by the house to eat. When they cooked for us, they would leave food on the table, whosoever stopped by. And also some of the local people who come by to ask for rice. Mom was like, my father, he must have gotten it from her. Because when from Avaport School, we went on to Bromley Mission. We were so small, we couldn't even braid our hair. I think I went there when I was like 8 years old. And he used to bring Cousin Annette every 2 weeks to wash and comb our hair. And he found a lady in Virginia to come by and pick up our laundry, to do our laundry. And he paid Baromi Morris, Mr. Baromi Morris, to teach us how to play the piano. I mean, I know the keys. I even have a keyboard here, which I will get to sometime in my life. But he wanted us, because he used to play the guitar and we used to sing. And my uncle also used to sing in Kakata Methodist Church, along with Georgia Scott, Esley Holder. Who is, they had 3 children. Mama had 3 children. Harry. I didn't know my Uncle Harry. When I was born, I think he had died. He was married to Hannah Menza Holder, the mother of Jerusha Holder Fernandez, Joyce Holder Frankel, Roderick Holder, and our Winston's stepmother. Oh, Winston was the first grandchild of my grandson, and Joyce was the first granddaughter. So we're not such a big, well, most of the children coming up now, they don't even know these things, but they will get to know it someday. My father, Lancelot Holder, attended school in Painesville. Henry School, I think you heard about Mr. Henry, the West Indian man who had this school. And one thing Bubba Elliott told me, they all, Willie Torber, everybody, they went to Henry School. So they used to walk from Crozierville or Bensonville to Henry School. He used to say, one saying Bubba Elliott told me, work hard as if you will live forever, and live each day as if you would die tomorrow. And I think I read somewhere Steve Jobs also said the same thing. Live your life every day as if you would die tomorrow. So that's where he attended school. Then they came. He was with my godfather, Charles Lindsay Cooper, Nathaniel Richardson. I have photographs of all of them when they graduated from LU. And then he came to America and he studied, he became an agriculturist portrait specialist. And he married and went back home. And I used to tell him, Dad, this life is not for me. I don't like this farm life. And another thing he did, when I don't think we did something wrong, by Uncle James' house, there's a creek. And one day he had just come from America. So we went with the boys to go fishing. When we got back, they beat us. Then he would take you to Doodle. Doodle, we call was Aunt Kit, Catherine Holder, and Miss Ella. And he would say, oh, I just got through beating them. You know, he would let everybody know he whipped us. And he wanted everybody to know, and my grandmother couldn't stand it. She used to go to the back of the house so she wouldn't hear him beating us.
So he had a farm, and that was what he did for a living. He was a farmer?
Yes, a farmer.
Okay.
His father, when he came for the funeral, they gave him the documents and said, your father left this for you. In those days, I have photograph of that too. When, not like today, if you lose your mother or your father, you walk around like as if to say nothing happened. The men had to wear a patch on their suits, and the women will wear mourning clothes. So I have a photograph of him and the former pastor of Zion Praise Baptist Church, Mr. Reverend Fagan, the late Frank Talbot, and my father. And I said, oh, that's when I noticed the patch, but that been going on for a while. And another thing they used to do in Crozierville, they used to have a parade. I don't know if you remember where they would go opposite Gia Williams' house. You remember parade? And then
somebody sent me a picture of it. Or a lot of people.
That's when I saw Major Clemens. Oh, he was such a big shot with the drilling. They used to go in their uniform and march up and down. Oh, Major Clemens, Stephen Clemens' father, I think. That's his father. And they used to be there. We used to go and see them drill, stand on the opposite side. You know where Oshoko them used to live. Oh, and this, I don't even want to say this. They used to have us going to Dr. Oshoko place. I know they will see it. And all I knew this man, that he was a doctor. And Mom would say, oh, I already know more about medicine than doctor. But I didn't know what you were talking about. I used to tell him, it's time for your checkup. Pack them up from Kakata, bring them to Crozierville, and then pick us up. And we all go to Oshoko Clinic. Oh, I got a lot of photographs from them. Because I had a sister that he took, the sister that's next to me, Myrtle. He took my sister Oh, he loved Martha like she was his own. Both of them died the same year, 1970. And I was always up there, like 2 or 3 when you look at the pictures. You can, with my grandmother and my aunt, we were always up there for vacation. My grandma, she didn't care if they had school today or school tomorrow. When she wants to go, she will go. So we will always be there. And they always threw some parties there. And there was a piano in the house. You enter the living room, and Marjorie used to be there playing the piano. Peace be to her ashes, Lois. They all play music. And that's how Sister Joyce was bringing up her grandchildren in Germany. Everybody that looked like could play an instrument. And when she died, I learned that they played for her funeral. But we had fun. In fact, that's where my grandfather is buried. Richard Nathaniel Holder, and they bury Harry up there, small Harry. My Uncle Harry, I don't even know, I never investigated how he got there, but maybe Kenneth Best will tell me when I call him. He's buried on Albert Port property. And I know where that is. I know where the grave is because we just finished Decoration Day. We used to go there and put a wreath. Another thing we used to do in Crozierville was to make our wreaths for Decoration Day. And we had a lot of flowers in the yard, hibiscus, that I remember. We ate chicken so much on the farm. And Dad was always having something, or Bong Mai would rent the place out for him to have something. And when Jimmy Weeks came from America, oh, he threw one big party for him. He would get up early in the morning, go to Bong Mai's, pick up Mrs. Mary Nebo and bring her. And he would kill all the chickens and they would clean them, do everything. She would season it. And they had a band that they put together in Bong Mai called the Bouncers. Dunster McCauley, Sandy Manny, my cousin Lois Holder, and others, I don't know their names. Even to get us to go to Bong Mai just for one day till midnight, you got to be good, behave yourself, keep calling Lois, pray that he wouldn't change his mind. So sometimes I said, but Ella, let us go and check. And as we would say, we came to the door, you were not here. So we went back. By the time you get up and go to the door, that red pickup is there to pick you up. So we had to go with it. Oh, another thing Dad used to do, he used to supply Bong Mai's with fruits, vegetables, and chickens. He had his own bags, and it was called Holder, Homegrown Pride with Giblets. We also used to go to Robertsfield to bring the chicks. When they get to Robertsfield, they all will crack open, and then he would take them. He would take them in the boxes to the farm. They had places for them. And our job on the farm was when the chickens grew, we would just walk. Oh, he would take us in the morning up on the hill. Across the street was the rubber farm. So we would walk around the chicken house, and then the eggs, the chickens will have the eggs and they will roll outside. So when you see a little speck of blood or stool, we will use sandpaper and clean it off. 12 o'clock or so, Dad will come to get us to go and eat. When we get through eating, then he would take us back up the hill to go and collect more eggs because he used to supply Bong Mai's. So they knew him very, in fact, they used to call him Chicken Holder. That's why when he died, I asked my cousin to make a cake and write on it Chicken Holder. They don't know anybody when go to the office. Oh, these are Chicken Holder children. Yeah, no other name, but Chicken Holder. But he was a nice man. Now that we've grown, we can laugh and talk, but when you saw, it's not like that. He was a nice man. And we had a lot of fun with him. Oh, Ella Weeks?
Yeah.
Agena's grandmother.
Yeah.
I remember when Fifi and Junior and Julie came from America. We went there to visit them. They were in Crozierville. And Fifi had a little white horse where I didn't know it was for Fifi until recently. Julia told me it was for Fifi. So we'll go there and ride the white horse. And sometimes we used to go there and eat after church. But he told me that he used to admire us because Dad brought us this pogo stick from America. And you know the pogo stick? Okay. So we would stand on this stick like for 30 minutes without falling, jumping up and down. Oh, he said he used to admire us for being on the pogo stick. I got several pictures of Grandma Jurisha. She said, you know, all of them came to America, you know. Yeah, Duru and Kep came. My grandmother, she said, everybody liked America, but I don't like America. You know? Oh, that was her best friend. She had a little girl to stay with us, and she called her Nancy. Eileen Juanita Holder was the only daughter of Kate Holder, called her Aunt Kate or Duru. Dad came on Bromley. They were very close. Pick us up to go to the wedding. And that's the same way he came and picked us up for the funeral. She was a beauty. To get the kind of man she got, I think she was his third wife. She was married to Leroy Francis. He had some other kids before, Bob and Cleo, and she used to bring them to Crozierville to play with us. Oh, cousin Ely, my God. She was a beauty. I got her picture, and I even sent some to Gertrude. But Gertrude grew up mostly with us. We used to sleep in the same bed. I'm on the edge. I think she in the middle, and Ella was at the corner. One day, I think I hit her, and that night, she said she had a dream about her mother. She said, I had a dream about my mother. And she came and was standing right over you. Gertrude was when Dad came, when my father used to come and take us to the farm, she didn't have to ask. She was always welcome. Always welcome and went with us everywhere. So this is the story. Jim Holder, the late Big Jim, his grandfather, James Wesley Holder. But when he grew up, he changed his name to James Sky Zulu. But Uncle James and Aunt Tiddy, they had 4 children. Jim, Alice, Bennu, and Kaifa. But Kaifa died right after Big Jim. And the 2 girls are alive, Bennu and Alice. Because cousin Martha was living with Aunt Ella, but we call her Aunt Pig. She said Aunt Ella was raising her brother, James Wesley Holder. And every day when they call him, he would tell cousin Martha, call me uncle. Don't just call me James, call me uncle. Jesus, keep me near the cross. But we used to sing, the Lord is my shepherd. That was our anthem, me and my sister. Fufu and soup. I could have fufu and soup every day. That's what I like. Beans and cabbage, potato greens. We didn't eat much raw palm oil food. My uncle they would eat that in Kakata, but Crozierville, no. Braided, sympathy. Oh, what I couldn't stand, white beans. And of course, what I like, split peas. I could eat split peas every day. Oh yeah, we ate cornbread, shortbread, fritters. We used to have Quaker Oats, cream of wheat, and the yellow cornmeal. We used to have a lot of that on Broadway. And also, I like baking, so my aunt Doodle and Kit used to make a lot of wedding cakes. And so if you are a kid, they would break the egg and put a little bit in the eggshell, and you put it in there to bake. In fact, that was one of the things they did in the book, The Life and Times of the American Liberia. They even took picture of our kitchen. My grandfather used to order so much. Almost everything came from America. I used to tell the children, I said, we had a tub. I'm sure y'all had the same thing. I can draw it. It's like curd, not like what we have here. It went maybe in some rich place in house that stand on legs. We had a great tub that was curd, and then there's a hole on the left side with stopper. And then on the floor, they dug a hole where the water will run outside. So you know what I'm talking about. So that's what we had back home. And that's why I don't like showers. I always like to take bath. Everybody said, but why you like? When I was small, my grandmother would go and take a bath. When she gets through, this is how I was brought up. I would go and get in the same tub and bed. I don't know if they had any such thing. Maybe in Kakata, we had these Morton tub and things. But in Crozierville, that's what we had. I remember it so well. Way up on the porch in the house, they had a little small washroom where it was like a porch. They had the basin, matching picture. You know what I'm talking about. So we had it then. But after many years, in fact, my grandmother stopped sleeping upstairs. She moved downstairs to my father's room where he used to stay. And I came to America that year, 1979. When I got home, the taxi was still waiting for me. It was like $5 from Monrovia to Crozierville. So if you want to be there every day, you could. And they told me my grandmother had a fall. Because I didn't go home, I went straight to Crozierville. I bought her a dress to carry. When I got there, Charlotte told me, she said, Ma had a fall. I said, you didn't call Bud Winston? She said, they called him, but I think his wife said he cannot come. This one I have to stress. His wife said he cannot come. He has to come another day. I said, y'all get me some pillows, put it in the back of the car. I said, get ready, let's go. I put the pillows in the back of the car. And I picked Ma up. You never know how much energy you have until you pick her up and lie her across on the back seat. Yeah. I brought her to Monrovia, took her to Cooper Clinic. They gave her one injection, and they told me, take her to JFK. My grandma was a very quiet woman. You would have to, every day I saw her wearing stockings. She would never complain. And I went to visit her every day. And one Sunday I overslept. I had a dream that she had died. I said, "Oh, Juanita, you overslept." I jumped up, got in a cab, went to JFK. When I was going to the room, they stopped me. They said she died. And the day before I was there, I said, "Oh, Ma, you look so pretty." And she just kept pulling her nose. "Oh, Ma, you look so," not knowing. Yeah, so another person who used to like and do for Ma was Lois. Yeah, Sister Joyce, husband, and Lois' boyfriend, Chris Frankel and Helmut Fahl. They came and electrified my house. You know, when Anke died, I was not there. But Bob Boyle told me the night of the wake, Richard played the entire night. He played music the entire night. Oh, I wish I was there. Because that was my little confidant. We used to talk, keep secrets. Bob Boyle, we used to be up and down. He used to, you children forgive me, he used to like one of my two friends. And so he would take us to Crozierville every day. He had a blue Mercedes Benz. And every day we up and down in that car, going before he got married. So we had a wonderful time together. I used to call him all the time. He spoke about me so much to his children. His son said he coming to spend time with him. Then I had one little studio in Flushing. I'm still in Flushing. Bob Boyle would come. We would all sleep there, the business partner and all. We would all sleep in our studio. And when Mina them would come, I would have their palm butter ready for them to take with them to Westchester. Oh, that was one of the closest people to me. Boyle Holder, his nephew, Edwin Varfley, and Everett Goodrich. These were the closest people to me. The Hallowongers are from South
But
Carolina.
yeah, I found them. I found the ship registry because my grandma Nancy, her mother was a Hallowanga. Grandma Nancy Goodrich, because they were Garnet, but her mother was Joanna Hallowanga. So there were, I think there were 3 or 4 sisters that came on our ship. Sarah, Martha, I think
Yes,
Joanna, and somebody else. But I got it. I will send it to you. So which one? So those sisters, one of them married a Holder.
Yes, and I grew up hearing that one, Sarah married Goodrich, Nancy married Holder, but cousin Martha told me one was the aunt and the other one was the niece. I was small, like 5 or 6. They used to, your father, I think, was the instigator. They used to rent the living room. We had a large living room, shining floor. They used to rent the place to have dances in Crozierville. So we hated for Aunt Rona to come to the place. We only loved cousin Martha and cousin Chanisa, because Aunt Rona, when she came to Crozierville, she would say, "Oh, y'all go to bed." And you don't bother children like that. But the other people who were just standing in the door, maybe to greet the people or what. But they used to have a lot of dances there. And your mother and father used to be, oh my God, up and down the place. And cousin Annette and her sister, Asalia, it used to be crowded. People from White Plains all over will come. In Ossia, my uncle, and he only had one child. And on BWI, They used to call him Jerry Lee Lewis because he said he's coming to America to be a movie star. So if you call Sal Abraham or any of those BWI boys, any of his friends, don't ask for Ossie. Say, where Jerry Lewis? You know? And he's the one who told me, don't ever leave New York. Whatever you do, don't ever leave New York. That's how I come. I'm still sitting here. Ajana and Ossia grew up together. I think my grandfather gave Ossia to Ajana's grandmother, Newport, her house right near your uncle, Bob Blake. Yeah, they were all, excuse me, they were all about the same crowd. Wanted to be an actor from BWI. So they started calling him that already. He told me the boy had a good job at Westinghouse. He said, whatever you do, don't leave New York. He took himself and went to California. We didn't even talk about Santa Claus. We also used to have our own Santa. Maybe just go to 2 houses. And I was like somebody, a fan of Santa. Dress somebody up, beating the cup of cans, and would be dancing. We are, Santa Claus, we are, yeah, we are. We'll go to Aunt Kid house, then we'll go to Miss Ella house, and come right back home. That's how far our Santa Claus in Liberia used to go around asking for a donation. But in America, the Santa Claus gave you gifts. So we got everything different. Miriam Cooper. You remember that name? We used to call her sister. She was getting married. Willie Torber was alive then. He told my uncle, he invited my Uncle Esley. Uncle Esley came to Crozierville. Juanita, go upstairs and get dressed. When I got dressed, and he took me to the wedding, only the 2 of us. And sister, Miriam Cooper, was marrying Isaac Talbot that day. Today, Isaac is married to my cousin, Winifred Holder. They live in Rhode Island. And I think that's the last time I saw her. And Ella had like maybe 4 or 5 boys. Ella Tice Cooper. Her pa was Mr. Tice. So which Cooper did she marry? And next to our house in Crozierville was the grandparents' house. There was a 2-story house near Juanita Holder house. The grandparents, Nancy Halowonga and Nathaniel Holder. And right at that property, next to the property, opposite James Holder, is the late Johnny Carr, Camina Pierre grandfather. We used to play in that house. And Mom told me one story about her daughter. And Sarah, I have not posted her picture yet. I got it. I got like 2 or 3 pictures of her. She asked her mother, and Grandma Nancy said, why do people die? And her mother told her, when God calls you, you have to answer. She said, well, I'm not going to answer. Sarah Holder Graham. Well, when Pan American came to Liberia, they were looking for, I think, 6 girls to work for Pan Am. Well, I didn't make that cut. But but I made the next group. LNA were looking for either 2 people, but I made that cut. And I started working for LNA, known as Air Liberia now. And we used to work at the airport. Right now, tickets, putting the people, the little tickets, sending people to Sino, Kipamas, wherever. And then a team from London came, Caledonia Airways, to run Air Liberia. They bought those planes from Hughes Air West, where they had blue, Air Liberia turned it to black. So our colors were black and yellow. And I worked there for years until 1980. And then I came to America. I said, well, every job you look for, they will have, you have to be on the computer. So I joined a company and they sent me to Dallas to learn how to operate Sabre, the American Airlines computer. And I forgot all about making hats, or I forgot it. You know, when you come over here, the stress is different. Somebody told me, she said, the way you love to sing, why you didn't pursue that career in America? You come, you don't have a job. You ready to be singing? No. So I told her no. Anyway, I went on Saturdays. I used to go walking around, looking in stores. I went to Bergdorf Goodman that Saturday, and I saw a bag, fabric bag, and they said $700. I took one look at that bag. Was made with dupioni, all the shiny things on it, the strap. I said, I am going to make this bag. And I went home, I bought everything, and I made the identical bag. So I said, if I can do this, I can do anything. You know? And that's how it started. Then my memory started coming back that I used to make hats and bags with sold. In fact, we used to braid the straw to make the hat for teacher Beck. And she taught us how to make hats. So I said, okay, I can do it. So I took courses at a Fashion Institute. I went from hats to accessories design, where you make belts and different things. Then I went to shoes, making shoes and handbag. And I found a friend, someone who was teaching hand-painted flower making. And I did all of that. So I used to keep my little self busy here. Now, I need to promote it. I mean, I have something on Etsy. I have a little company on Etsy, and I'm trying. But they have so many other places that I could use. But I'm not like these people that jump on Facebook. I just like it for birthdays, to wish somebody happy birthday. But just to show you what I ate today, no. Even my son will not allow it. He doesn't even among us just to take pictures of our food we have on the table. He said no. He doesn't want that. So, and today I'm a grandmother now. I have a son and 5 grandchildren, 2 girls and 3 boys. And I wish Juanita Holder could see it, but I'm sure she's looking down over us.
Oh yeah, she watching over them.
Oh, yeah. Got a song, angels watching over me everywhere I go. So she's watching me. Leslie Leroy Holder was secretary to President Barkley because I was told that he assisted them in getting their farm. Uncle Harry died early. They said John Goodrich's wedding. You know, he liked to womanize. He went there for a wedding. I think John Goodrich was getting married. And somebody there poisoned his drink. Oh, Chanessa Power, James Holder.
Oh,
Chanessa was married to Abu Dhabi. He cried like a baby when she died. The way he and that woman were close, she used to always come to Crozierville in her jeans and put lipstick when she goes to the long mirror in the living room. I would go stand near her and she would put lipstick on me. So I've been loving lipstick from small. My uncle was very, very close to Richard, to William Tauber. He stood in his wedding. Juanita Holder. I was like 10 years old or more when Rhoda was born. See everybody running to their house, not knowing they were delivering Rhoda. Then May Catherine telling us, oh, that plane that passed just dropped Rhoda off. The America, the children born today, they know where baby come from. Old woman like me, they still telling me, Rhoda came by plane. That Rhoda came by here. You know, planes used to pass over Crozierville. So you got to believe them. But I didn't see it land. They said the plane just dropped Rhoda off. That's the lie they were telling people.